the kitchen.
Okay, now that the finish has dried on the inside here and here where I applied it under the belt loop, it's time to go ahead and glue this thing. But before I did that, I made sure that these edges were beveled and burnished right here, because that's going to meet the back there. And when I burnish this edge, I only burnish the one side. I don't want to burnish the inside because, well, you want it to blend into the leather. Also, I punched out my stitch holes using my, well, punches. Did that from the inside. Those are my stitch holes there. And now I'm ready to go ahead and glue this part down. So I marked out here where the glue is going to go. And the first thing I need to do is scratch up the leather with my scratch awl, because that'll help to glue it here. It'll give us some tooth, basically. Now I want to be careful not to color outside the lines. And I'm also going to do the same thing to this part here. Just scratch up with my scratch awl. That should do, and that should do. I'll scratch up a little more right there. This is one of those things, if you take a little bit more care when you're doing it, the glue will work better. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and get ready to glue. We'll be right back. Alright, I got my glue and my clamp. I'm ready to loosen the top here. And I got to be very careful putting it right there, because I don't want to get it anywhere else. So I just do a little bit at a time. Go. And if I wasn't wearing this brace on my wrist and my hand was shaking, it would make a mess. And I don't want that. In fact, it's starting to shake just a little bit here. Okay, that'll do. And put the glue on this side, which is a little bit easier because I can just basically just put the glue on. Now I need to leave that set for, I don't know, 5 minutes, maybe a little longer or so, until it gets tacky. Then I can go ahead and stick that together as contact cement. Well, let me show you. I use Tanner's Bond contact cement. So once it's applied and once you stick it together, basically it adheres on contact. But you put it on there, leave it sit for about 5 minutes or so, and come back to it. And we'll be back with that. Alright, that's been about, I don't know, 5-7 minutes or so. It's tacky, which is what you want. You don't want it to be wet and sloppy, just tacky. And just stick these two sides together. And I am going to clamp it. Put a piece of scrap on there. And take and run my clamp on down. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get all this straightened up. Get that on there nice and straight. Try to keep this clamp centered so I get the maximum amount of surface area where I want it. There we go. Alright, now that'll work. I'm just going to let that sit overnight. So I can go ahead and punch those stitch holes and stitch that strap down. Now the idea behind the glue is that's not what actually holds it together. Well, not permanently, because if you glue leather together, it has fibers and such inside, and they can pull apart. The idea behind the glue is to hold it so you can stitch it, and it's the stitching that holds it together. When we come back, should be ready to stitch at. Let's see, where is my, oh, there we go. After it dries, I'm going to take the clamp off and punch the stitch holes on through with my awl. Set it up in a clamp and stitch it, and we'll see you then.